Thank you very much, and thank you to the Chair, and welcome to Minister Simon Harris here as Minister for Justice. Very much welcome to see the Criminal Justice Bill here, and I suppose the significant changes it's going to make to existing laws. Minister, we live in a democracy, freedom, I suppose, to live our lives, but sometimes that is really threatened, and our freedom to live lives as we wish is taken away, and that's when people suffer harassment, stalking or abuse. Suddenly they're living in fear, and their freedom and security to live as they wish is changed, and of course it causes distress, mental health, psychological impacts, violence and abuse. It is crucial that we see behaviours, as has been mentioned by the previous senator, behaviours that start at a young age. And Minister, I suppose through the Education Committee we did a lot of work around bullying in school environments, in primary schools and secondary schools, and how that is tackled. It is very important that we're looking at how behaviours are tackled around bullying at a very young age, and how that's been managed in our school environment with parents' associations. It's all very crucial. But just in relation to this bill, Minister McEntee launched the zero tolerance plan, of course, and stalking. It's very welcome to see this as a standalone offence. And a maximum of 10 years. Minister, of course, domestic abuse and domestic violence, a crime behind hidden doors. One of the things I might ask if you might comment on, and I know it's something that Minister McEntee was looking at as well, but it's really the provision of refuge places. It's something that's always arisen in Roscommon and in the county of Galway. Now, I'm not talking about the city of Galway. The county of Galway, the second largest county, we have a lack of refuge places for women that suffer from domestic violence, and a place for them to go. So I know that this is, it is a priority. I know it is something that's been looked at, but we do need this to happen sooner. Around this as well, I suppose, is the offence of the non-fatal strangulation. And of course, this is something that's used around coercion, and it's very important to see that that there are penalties around this as well. Minister, you mentioned the memorial and Gardaí who have lost their lives in the line of duty, and over 89 guards, and of course the most recent, the sad loss of Garda Colm Horkin, of course, in Roscommon. So it's very close to the hearts of people in Roscommon. But Minister, the importance of increasing this sentence from 7 to 12 years, I suppose my request to you as well would be, how do we look at the recruitment into the Garda Síochána? How do we sort of show that there is safety for members in Garda Síochána? And if you would have any comments around that as well. It is crucial that we see an increase, because I know there's a challenge, obviously, very different reasons. There's, we've a lot of demands in many different sectors in our workforce, but it's a vocation to become a guard, to be a member of a community, particularly in our rural and country communities. It is a vocation, and you are a member of that community for a lifetime. Even after you retire, you take an active part in that role. How do we encourage young men and women to consider this as a role that is a vocation, and one that is, I suppose, a measure of respect in our communities, and that it is something that they would consider as their career? Again, I very much welcome that this is, as well as this, for emergency service workers. I know from speaking with people who are working in EDs and in Portiuncula University Hospital, an emergency department, that there has been an increase in terms of the levels of sort of difficulty and assaults, I suppose, in an emergency department environment. And again, this is the challenges we're seeing around addictions for alcohol, drug abuse. And again, Minister, I suppose it's about looking at a holistic look at this, because how are we ensuring that we have supports for addiction centres and around drugs and around alcohol in our towns? Like, say, for example, Banaslow, and the hospital there is the hospital for Athlone, for example, as well, a huge catchment area. But the challenges we're seeing in terms of the aggression in the hospital, how are we seeing that there's other supports been put in place in towns around that? And maybe just how is that interdepartmental sort of way of looking at that as well? Minister, I very much welcome this bill. I welcome that it's going to hopefully act as a deterrent. But again, as has been mentioned, the communication around this is going to be absolutely crucial. And again, that we are introducing a safe environment and encouraging people who take this on as a vocation and helping people in the emergency services in an Garda Síochána, that's going to be reflected in what we will see in terms of recruitment in time to come. Garamagas.